From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In today's recording, we'll go over your monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we go to the deal, the recon, done, deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under the fourth stimulus recon. This is not checks for the children, that was third stimulus, this is fourth stimulus. Checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for all walks of life. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you. And I'll be going over some of those checks in this recording. Then we go to the vote. There's a vote set for next week, and it is the bipartisan. But with the bipartisan set for a vote, will the recon be set for a vote? And is there not one but two Plan Bs? I have all the incredible great details. And then we cut to fifth stimulus. What the president promised on the campaign trail, the raising up of your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, and my veterans, it's now happening. It's happening in fifth stimulus this fall. I'll be going over all the incredible details. And then the breaking news is one viewer gets $18,000 for rent in the last 48 hours. My goodness. The second biggest payout we have seen in this channel in nearly 60 days. I'll go over how you could be the next person. Nisi got $23,000. It's your day to be the next person to get these big sums of money for rent, utilities, food, and internet, and more. It's a big morning. It's a big day. A lot of deliciousness, and let's get to the details because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee's brewing here on Mornings LALATE. Hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. You know, it's a great day, and I'm so excited for you to join me. Boy, it was a mess of weather yesterday, but today it's all starting to be perfect. How's the weather where you are? Jump in the live chat right now and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. A lot of breaking news to go over in this morning's LA broadcast about your fourth stimulus. First, why you're likely to get more months of checks because of what's going on from those Democrats. Then, $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under the fourth stimulus recon. Checks for all walk of life. Done. Deal. I'll be going over some of these items in this recording. And then we cut to the vote. A vote set for this coming week. This could be the final 7 days. So we're calling it the final 15 minutes of the final 7 in this recording. State of the final 15 of the final 7 of this recording. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up as promised by the president during the campaign trail. Yes, this is my veterans, my SSI and SSDI. I'll be going over how much you should be looking forward to. And then we cut to the big money across the board. The viewers like Nisi got $23,000. It's your day to get this big money as well. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. And as announced yesterday, it's new slate of programming coming in August. Programming literally every 2 hours on the hour, every day, 24 hours a day on this channel. You'll see shows around the globe, around the clock, and a new sirloin coming back to the mix, plus a new stock show to cover all the financial details across Wall Street. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps, and consider becoming a member. 400,000 subscribers in 1 year, a YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Let's get to the breaking details, starting right now. Those monthly stimulus checks from the Senate and the Democrats in the House are slightly different based upon one factor, number of checks ostensibly. But with the pandemic changing, this gets very interesting. Let's go over the two approaches. Senate, House. House is pandemic plus 1 year monthly stimulus check. Senate is stimulus checks to July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House, $1,000 after the first month, $2,000. Senate, monthly unknown, but word on the street is the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. It was 4 weeks ago we thought the pandemic was over and the legislators would just give us 1 year checks, not pandemic plus 1 year. Then 3 weeks ago, we thought maybe the pandemic isn't over. 2 weeks ago, we realized the pandemic is not over. 1 week ago, we realized the pandemic's really not over. And now we realize the pandemic is far from over. As Delta ravages 50 states right now, the House bill would likely pay pandemic plus 1 year, which is what it's written for, which would be more than 1 year of checks, more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000 from the House. Compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Boy, things change quickly. And now everyone sees how the House weighs differently against the Senate. The Democrats represent you would get a forced stimulus check if you got a third. So single individuals, $75,000 or less, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Then, married couple, $150,000 or less, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check, double it. Family of four, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, veterans, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. The forced stimulus check is income, it's not taxable. The forced stimulus check will be the same amount for everyone, including adult dependents. And the forced stimulus check is monthly. It is not a waivable check. I learned that lesson last night. I went to Mitch's Lobster Fest, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, Senator McConnell, how are you?" "Hello, LALATE, how are you?" I said, "Good, I wanted to wave at you." And he said, "Sorry, LALATE, I'm not a waivable check." I said, "I know, Mitch, you're not even a monthly check." "Not funny, get out of here." Jalapal should not have invited me. So there you go. The forced check comes in the month of July, for the month of July, those Democrats represent. And in the month of August, for the month of August. But in the second half of this video, you'll be going over the $3.5 trillion of checks you're getting. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under forced stimulus. This is not children's checks. That's third stimulus. This is forced stimulus. And this is incredible great news. You're going to learn about those checks coming up in the second half of this video. Then we cut to the vote. A vote is set for fourth stimulus. That is the recon. Not the recon, the bipartisan. The bipartisan roads and bridges is set for a vote next week. So what does that mean for our recon? Oh, that's the final 15 of the final 7 of this video. Stay to the final 15 minutes to learn about what's happening in the next 7 days. It's very exciting. But first, here's a preview of fifth stimulus this fall. The president promised this during the campaign trail to you. The raising up of your benefits if you're on SSI and SSDI. He did not deliver it, but now the Democrats, senators and House members are taking care of it for you. It's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, let's get some money. Boy, you are killing it. I'm going to go over rent, utilities, SNAP, internet, and more I can get you right now. But if you've gotten this money, post in the live chat. If you've gotten rent, post it. If you've gotten utilities, post it. If you've gotten SNAP, post it right now. Several weeks ago, I was recording on these videos, that I can get you $5,000 for rent, 4 to 6 months of rent. Viewers are now getting $20,000 for rent. Nisi, congratulations, Nisi. And then 48 hours ago, I got a very nice message from a viewer on Instagram. She got $18,000 for rent. Yes, that's the second biggest payout we've ever seen for rent on this channel in nearly the last 60 days. Congratulations to you. Then for utilities, I said I can get you $300 for utilities. Viewers are getting $3,000 for utilities. I said I can get you $5,000 to $6,000 for SNAP. Viewers are now getting $10,000 to $18,000 for SNAP. John, congratulations. He got $10,000 to $12,000 for SNAP. And Louis got $18,000 for SNAP. Yes. Get a pen and paper ready. I'm going to go over all this deliciousness for you. But first, what's going on here? This is what this channel does. We cash checks. This is not a check tracking channel. In spring of last year, EIDL grants and loans were not coming. We did not track them because there was no check to track. We cashed them. I got viewers $25 million of EIDL loans of checks to cash. But in second stimulus, fall of 2020, it wasn't coming. It was not law yet. So there was no second stimulus check to track in December. But I got viewers $250,000 of checks to cash. Like Tyrone got $15,000 for his family of 4 out of Boston to pay for rent all the way to spring. Now we're doing the same thing with third stimulus. And this is incredible. Let's get a pen and paper ready. I'm going to go over different pots of money. We're going to reach out to different places for rent, utility, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities. Each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Are you ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords, viewers say, are critical to getting approval. Those keywords are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage, or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's waivable check. Mitch doesn't wave about anything. They don't know that. So there you go. Congratulations, Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful pot of money. The next pot of the money is coming back to you for SNAP. John got it. Wow. If you got in rent or utilities, post your success story in the chat. But boy, this SNAP is a fortune. John got $10,000 to $12,000 for SNAP. Louis got $18,000 for SNAP. I am so excited for you guys. And Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it as well. What is SNAP? It is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of 4 out of Boston gets upwards of $16,000 a year now. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. $16,000 for family 4 out of Hawaii. So go get it. Great news. And we're only 11 minutes in this video. You're killing it. Your numbers have been absolutely through the roof. $5,000 at least for rent, I was saying, but now viewers are getting $20,000 for rent. $16,000 for SNAP for family 4 out of Hawaii, but now you're getting $18,000 for SNAP, and we're just getting started. At the 11-minute mark, I got more money for you starting right now, money coming back from your states. States have been ordered to return money back to you due to overpayment of unemployment benefits due to computer error. One viewer got $3,000 for it. Another viewer got $5,000. Where's it landing? Direct deposit. When? Check your state for routing times. Reach out to state and say, hey, state, where is that check due to computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works? And finally, the wonderful return money back from IRS of that 2020 return that you pay taxes on. Margaret got it, Cog got it, Michael got it. Now, if you've not posted your success stories in the live chat yet, do it right away. Why? Because every time you do it, you help someone else. That's the spirit of this channel, people helping people. 3 things happen. 1, if you post your success story, 200 people posting success stories in a chat that has 1,000 people in there, that inspires other people to go get the money. They realize, wait, I can go get it. Number 2, if you got 1 item and then you see Art Sullivan in the live chat, he got 3 items. Then you realize, wait a second, are people getting 3 items? I should get those other 2. And finally, it updates us about numbers, especially when it comes to the return of unemployment. So Margaret got it, Cog got it, Michael got it, but there's another wave coming. The latest wave has a refund check from IRS of $1,265. Wow, deliciousness. Direct deposit started July 14th, this wave, and mail checks July 16th. There'll be a new wave every week. So if you're at the beach and you see the IRS, no, we're not going to do that, Joe. Where does this refund check land? Otherwise, in the mail or by direct deposit. How much? Let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? We direct deposit otherwise in the mail. When? Go to IRS and do a transcript search at irs.gov. It'll reveal stuff you never knew, like the date that you filed that tax return and that tax return check you paid, and the that taxes you paid. Then it'll reveal stuff that you never thought you would know, or stuff that Mitch doesn't want you to know. It'll reveal when Mitch appeared on Star Search as the spokesperson. Did he get his hair done at Amazon Hair? Then finally, it'll reveal the tax refund check you're getting. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the second part of your Forced Stimulus Check updated 2021, starting right now, deal done. You're getting $3.5 trillion of checks under the Forced Stimulus Recon. Oh boy, congratulations. I am so excited for you. This is $3.5 trillion of checks for all walks of life, for my seniors, for my workers, for everyone. The Democrats have agreed upon the price tag, and they have agreed that they're passing it. So all they have to do is just call the vote. This is incredible, great news. How do we get to this point? Well, originally the recon was this behemoth that had roads and bridges in there, and they had to take the roads and bridges out, which shrunk the recon, then making it passable. Then they started to add some stuff back in, and now that they got the agreement, $3.5 trillion. The reporting is confirmed by conservative publications op-ed. The higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass then. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the money from the recon, put it into the bipartisan roads and bridges, it made the recon smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch, sorry to set you up. But, it's not like it was incumbent. And the Republicans adore the bipartisan. That is why in the final 15 of the final 7, you're going to see about that vote from the Republicans next week. Wow. Now, once they shrunk that recon, the progressives and the Democrats were able to add a little bit more in, and they got a recon price tag agreement, $3.5 trillion. And that's what they wanted. They got it. Representative Elon Omar, we have to have a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, recon. You got it, Elon. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. Representative Richie Torres said we have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives were meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big enough. You got it, $3.5 trillion. Well, this was achieved by protecting the recon. Schatz and Jalopal had confirmed that over the last few weeks. Schatz said the progressive priorities are the White House's own priorities in that recon. Wow. What is a recon? How does it get called for a vote? When do you see it? What are the deal provisions? And does Susan Collins have anything to do with it? Let's go over what a recon is. First, understanding the terminology. You understand my use of words on this channel. I use the two words. I use recon for our money and bipartisan for roads and bridges. The problem is that mainstream media and even the president has other words. Let's learn the other words. Recon is also called reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. You'll recognize it by price tag, $3.5 trillion. And the people quoted in the article, like a Bernie Sanders, a Jalopal. Bipartisan is also called roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. You'll recognize it by its price tag, $1.5 trillion, smaller. And you'll recognize it by the people quoting the article about it, which are like a Kristen Sinema, Democrat, Mitt Romney, Republican, or Ron Portman, Republican. So a recon has both a procedural recon and a substantive recon, but we're just going to do the substantive recon on this channel. Substantive recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. We had a hysterical moment over the weekend where one viewer said, I reached out to Susan Collins to ask her what's in my recon. Really? That's like calling up Mitch McConnell, ask him, what do they put into Amazon hair? He has no idea. Susan Collins is a Republican. She doesn't do the recon. She doesn't write it. Who writes the recon? It's written by subcommittees, the House, Democrats, with conjunction of the Senate subcommittees, Democrats. Under the Constitution, each subcommittee is delegated different subject matters when writing legislation. House Ways and Means, for example, is responsible for writing stimulus checks, also unemployment benefits. Under the Constitution, there's a requirement that those subcommittees show you what they're writing. And so when they're writing things, they don't have to show it to you. What they're writing, what they're not writing, what they're taking in, what they're taking out, what they're voting in favor, they're voting out. They don't have to show you. When the subcommittees are done, they send those pages up to Chuck. Let's say it's 10 subcommittees, 10 pages. That's 100 pages. Chuck combines it, puts a big S in front of it, and that is for Laverne and Shirley. No, it's not. It's for Chuck Schumer. No, it's not for Chuck Schumer. It's for Senate. That's for that 100-page bill. And that is then the recon. When you see it, you see it. That's bill. But remember, it's not law yet. Later in this video, the final 15 and the final 7, I'm going to show you how the Democrats and even the House are ready to modify whatever that comes from the Senate. So not law yet. Things can get modified. But it's important for you to know that when you do see the bill, that's the recon. Before it, we won't see it. And that is what mainstream media and myself both confirm. But there'll always be a naysayer who says, I haven't heard of this in the recon. Well, the reason why you haven't heard it is because no one's seen the recon. It's sort of like a pop singer who has an upcoming album and doesn't want you to see the tracks on the album or hear the tracks until it's released. How did we get to this wonderful spot? From Jalopal, who wrote Schumer a letter saying Chuck called the vote on the recon. The letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who are among 100 plus, yes, 100, who had written the president a letter saying we're going to demand monthly stimulus checks for stimulus recon. Wow, can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, wait, the one you just went over? Yep, that one. Wrote the president a letter recently saying, we're going to be giving you monthly 4 stimulus checks under the 4 stimulus recon. Wow, we got a purple power to keep those House subcommittee members to that promise. They wrote a 3rd stimulus recon, and they're representing their right a 5th stimulus recon. Can we top that? We can. As the president has gotten that global corporate tax rate finally law. You saw 5 weeks ago a ceremonial signature overseas with the president. That was just ceremonial. The actual signature happened this week. Why is this great for stimulus? Because this confusing thing is not in there. What is this thing? It's a tongue twister. It's just confusing to even say. It's the global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. Oh, I'm exhausted just saying it. This is a great achievement for forced stimulus recon. Why? Because it's easier to write the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. It's easier to call the vote on the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. It's easier to vote on the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. And it's easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. And can we top that? Yes. As we go into the final 15 of the final 7, the next 7 days are just going to be absolutely on fire. And a vote is set. Will the vote happen? I'll go over all the details. I'll go over everything you need to know about the next 7 days in the final 15 minutes of video. Then we cut to fifth stimulus with a lot of money promised to you and finally happening for my veterans, for my seniors, for my SSI and SDI. But is there something more wonderful than that? Yes, the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, mortgage, or homeowners utilities, reach out to them. Open in the description, you'll see an emoji of a house. That sends you over to the link of the community page, news.la.com/community. On that community page, the volunteers can help you get that big money. Reach out to them. And here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with the continuation of Mornings LA. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on Mornings LA as the toast is toasted, the butter is buttering, and the coffee's brewing on a big Mornings LA. The final 15 of the final 7 will reveal to you all the exciting details that are happening in this forced stimulus recon. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you in this forced stimulus recon. I'll be going over those checks, and I'll also be going over what the vote has for next week. So subscribe. With 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Fastest growing channel in 1 year. Next stop of 1 million. Also, like the video. 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto, live on air. A lot happening with crypto overnight. I'll be back with you in just 5 minutes after this video's over, then noontime at 11 a.m. So subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right to fifth stimulus first. As the president had promised a lot of relief for my seniors, my veterans, my SSDI and SSI recipients, but did not deliver it after he came into office. Now, the Democrats are stepping up and taking care of it for you. Senate and House Democrats are providing that SSI reform in fifth stimulus this fall. This is the deliciousness you had waited for. First, it'll raise your benefits up, then remove the asset limits, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. How does this work? First, everyone's benefits will be raised up. Who's you? You. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Your benefits will be raised up one big time. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark will be in December because this vote will likely happen about October, November. The new benchmark, inflation. Where is inflation going? It's becoming transitory, says Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, who testified on Capitol Hill last week and said the same thing the month before. What is transitory? It's a fancy word for a temporary spike. It'll reach that spike in December. Yes, right when they apply your benefits, then it'll come back down. How high will the spike be? I've been saying 5%. That's what Wall Street said this week as well. Yes. Now, over the last 7 days, you saw the 10-year Treasury note showing massive fluctuation on interest rates, and you saw the labor numbers on Thursday. Horrible. Does that impact this? No, because inflation is tied to cost of goods sold, milk, eggs, gasoline. How much do they cost? And ultimately, yeah, these other things could long-term impact inflation, but not short-term. All right, so first they'll raise your benefits up. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5%. You'll be stepping up another 5%, not just next year, but lifetime. If the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be at +2, +5%. It's incredible, great news. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have a stimulus check and some Cardinals red Crayola crowns. Sorry, Canute. Then they're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear loss of benefits, and your benefits will be restored if you have been married. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. But if you're in the live chat and you're watching people who have an emoji next to their name of a purple hawk, and you don't have one, how do you get it? Under the video, it says join here. By joining and becoming a purple hawk, you get access to all this big money. And it's a lot. And that's why you see Purple Hawks posting these big success stories. $23,000, $10,000, $20,000, $15,000, $18,000. How are they doing it? Daily, I deliver to them a breakdown of all the big money under third stimulus via the YouTube community page. And they are killing it because they're Purple Hawks. Hawk, hawk. They pounce and get the money before anyone else. They aren't tracking stimulus checks. They're pouncing and grabbing $10,000 to $25,000 of checks. Let's go over the details. Under second stimulus, when it passed, it was a $600 stimulus check. I said to viewers, I'll get you $6,000. Tyrone got $15,000. And then when third stimulus passed, I said, I'm going to get you, instead of a $14 stimulus check, I'll get you $14,000. And instead of $14,000, Louis got $18,000 for SNAP. The viewer got $17,000, $18,000 for rent, and Nisi got $23,000 for rent. So consider becoming a member so you get access to all this incredible great news. Finally, fifth stimulus will have another stimulus check in there. Those House subcommittee members in House Ways and Means confirm. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now, the next final 7 days will likely end with a resolution of the fourth stimulus battleground if the Democrats and Republicans get their way. Let's go over all the incredible details, starting with the recon. Deal done. There has been a deal reached. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under the fourth stimulus recon. These are not children's checks. That's third stimulus. I know enough YouTube videos where the authors don't know what they're doing and they're putting the title fourth stimulus with children's checks to get people confused. Third stimulus is children's checks. Fourth stimulus is everyone else. And there's a fortune, $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you. Senator Tim Kaine confirms the great news, number 1, about this. 1, that once you have a deal provision on the amount, then everything just slots in. And that ostensibly the agreement has been reached, that the Democrats in the Senate are passing the recon. Yes. Second, the price tag. It's enormous. Bernie Sanders says this is a historic day in the American society because everyone's getting $3.5 trillion of checks throughout all these different programs. He had asked for $7 trillion, but he's just getting the same amount just over a shorter period of time. Notice it's exactly half the amount of time if you do it in divided by 2. Well, what are these provisions? Remember, we won't see the bill until it's debuted with that S on it, not for Laverne and Shirley, but I do have some of the provisions leaked. And here we go. checks for free school meals for all, checks for tax breaks, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for immigration reforms, checks for greener farming, checks for elections, checks for free internet. They're going to give fortunes to the local cities so that they can deliver you free internet, checks for clean energy, and here come my checks for my workers and my checks for my seniors. Checks for my workers, checks for unions, checks for collective bargaining, checks for workers, checks for independent contractors, then seniors, checks for Medicare, checks for lower eligibility, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. Wow, congratulations. Now let's cut over to the roads and bridges, the bipartisan, the infrastructure. 2 weeks ago, Mitt Romney, Republican senator, said that the vote on the bipartisan would be last week or this coming week. At the time, I said, not last week. It's not going to happen. It's too quickly. It'll happen this coming week. Mainstream media agreed at the time as well with me. Well, this week is when Mitt Romney represents the vote will happen. What happened last week? Chuck Schumer called the vote on the ending of discussion and negotiations on the bipartisan, not the vote on the bipartisan, just ending discussion of it, the roads and bridges. I said it was going to fail, and it did fail, but I also said wonderful stuff will come from it, and it did. Shortly after the vote happened, Ron Portman, Senator Republican, delivered to Chuck Schumer a letter signed by 11 Republican senators saying this coming week they're calling the vote on the bipartisan. Yes, congratulations. This is huge. Remember, those Democrats said that they have to have the bipartisan get ready for a vote before they call the vote on the recon. But even more wonderful news, if you recall, Nancy and Chuck and all the Democrats, including Jolopal, say if the bipartisan is ready for a vote, the recon has to go for a vote first. Remember, the recon goes for a vote first. And so if the bipartisan is getting voted on this week, so too is the recon right before it. Yes. Now, here's my opinion of the situation. When considering Ron Portman or Mitt Romney, two senators, two Republicans, I put more weight in Mitt Romney. I've done videos over an entire year about Mitt Romney, 1,000-something videos, and certainly enough videos about Ron Portman. Every time Mitt Romney has given us a date, a representation, an update, has written something or drafted something, it gets done. In the case of Ron Portman, a very different individual. In May of last year, when people were losing their homes, their cars, and their businesses because of the pandemic, Ron Portman said, get back to work, you're lazy, and cut off your unemployment benefits. That's Ron Portman. So when weighing the two people, I put more faith in Mitt Romney's representations. Next, is there a plan B? There is a plan B. Multiple publications indicate about the Democrats. Yesterday, I went over the two alleged Plan Bs, and I said the first one I don't believe, the second one I believe. Going forward, I'm only going to go over the one I believe, which is the following. Democrats reportedly are very attentive to the history of Republicans when there's a clock running, and that over the last 15 years, several times the Republicans have intentionally ran the clock out on the Democrats, where the Republicans say, I'm getting to it, I'm almost there, and then bam, the clock's done, and the Democrats get nothing done. So reportedly, the Democrats are very attentive to that history and don't want the Republicans to run out the clock on them. And the Democrats are very attentive that potentially the Republicans don't get the vote done next week. So what is the plan B? One leading publication, mainstream media, claims that this last week, Chuck Schumer pulled in his Democratic senators for a caucus meeting. And while I had just reported to you over the last few weeks that all the Democrats in previous weeks had said they would not vote on the recon unless the bipartisan is ready, Chuck got them to change their opinion, claims the article. The article claims that even the most problematic Democrats have now agreed that they will vote on the recon ASAP if the bipartisan is not ready. Yes, wonderful news. Why is this changing? Because apparently even the most problematic Democratic senators now believe that there is a timeline, that there is a clock running, and you can't let the Republicans run out the clock, that all efforts have been made to try to get this bipartisan done, and that if the Republicans can't get the bipartisan roads and bridges done, the recon should not be held up and not passed because of it. And so Chuck Schumer reportedly has his caucus ready to vote on the recon even if the bipartisan is not ready. Wow, that's great news. All right, let's go over the voting process. I've detailed the voting process a gazillion times on this channel, but I'll continue to do it. Each recon requires several steps of votes. This is a democracy, the United States government. Under a democracy, it is not a one-vote government where you have one vote one day and a check going out. Under a democracy, you always have multiple votes. You have different parts of the Congress. You have the House and the Senate. There was a very famous music video when we were kids growing up that talked about for a bill to become a law, you have to have the House and the Senate vote on it and the President sign it. But in the case of the recon, you have an extra series of steps. You'll go with the Senate subcommittee, then Senate, then over to the House, and then potentially back to a two-day vote-a-rama. That's not to say that each step is a different day, but each step is critical. Why is this big news? Because when the recon is debuted on the Senate side with that big S on it, here's what you need to know. It can get modified and likely will get modified. So when you do see that recon bill, do not close the coffin or do not start commencing and popping the corks of the champagne because things get modified. And on Friday, the House members, Democrats, confirmed they're ready to modify. Why is this? Here's what you need to know, is when subcommittee members are working on things, that's just a few people in the House. That's not the whole floor of the House. And that every House member wants a bite at the apple. And what did the House members say on Friday? That while the senators are working on things, they want to have the opportunity to make their changes, saying I'm not a cheap date. So when you do see the recon on the House side, on the Senate side, the House side can still modify the language, and then it can still get modified when it lands at the Senate side. Finally, it's important for you to understand where we are on all the permutations. First, number one, a recon has been agreed upon functionally. That means that you're getting $3.5 trillion of checks. These are checks for all different walks of life and include checks from you. These are not checks for the children. That's third stimulus. Number two, we have the indication now that for the first time in several weeks, Democrats are ready to call the vote on the recon if the bipartisan is not actually ready for a vote next week. Ron Portman represents the vote is ready and will go for a vote next week, and so does Mitt Romney. But if that doesn't happen, the Democrats reportedly are ready to call the vote on the recon. Number three, even when they call the vote on the recon can get modified. It can go up, it can go down, it can go out, it can go in. Modifications happen across the board. We have two emojis for that. Not bill yet, which is where we are right now, and not law yet. When you have a bill, it does not mean anything. And finally, you need to push purple power. You need to push every step before we have the bill, after we have the bill. Because when you have the bill, you don't have a law yet. And things can get modified, and those modifications will heat up. So there you go. A lot of details and a lot of permutations. I'll have more for you on Noontime LA, which is at 11 a.m. today. That'll be live on air, direct from Santa Monica, with the latest updates about all these twists and turns. And then I'm back with Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock today, a new show, the Throwback Show at 1 o'clock, and then a new Evenings LA at 5 o'clock tonight as well. Thank you for embracing this channel as it expands its programming. Coming in the month of August, more programming coming to this channel with shows on the hour every 2 hours nearly throughout the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As some of your favorite shows come back, Sirloin coming back with new shows, a new show launching on this channel for stocks, and more coverage of the financial markets and more coverage of how to get this $3.5 trillion in your pocketbook. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto live on air in 5 minutes from now. Like this video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.